As a rule, newspapers endorse candidates right before an election. In theory, this maximizes the impact and avoids any effect on campaign coverage. But this week, Boston Globe publisher John Henry did things a bit differently, offering a ringing presidential pre-endorsement to former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Adam has more.
My mom is the strongest woman I know.
She should be running.
This is not about my family or his family.
2 days after a testy Republican debate in South Carolina, John Henry took to Twitter to voice his dismay at the presidential race. Two-party system completely broken, Henry tweeted. Bloomberg should run. More importantly, long-term third-party construct needed. Bloomberg is Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire and former New York mayor who's been thinking about jumping in.
There's an opening there for someone with $1 billion to spend and the profile of competent manager.
Question is, could Henry's blatant Bloomberg boosterism make things awkward for the Globe's journalists? Judging from this exchange on Greater Boston, the answer may be yes.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, that's your boss, isn't it?
My boss?
Do you want to comment on that?
No, I have no comment.
Do you want to comment on that?
But in an email, Globe editor Brian McGrory tells Beat the Press our question is too absurd to respond to in any substantive way. On the news side, McGrory adds, it betrays a fundamental lack of insight regarding the work and mindset of the kind of high-level beat reporters we have covering the campaign. It also suggests you haven't been reading the Globe particularly closely for the past couple of years. The Globe's editorial page declined comment, and we didn't hear back from John Henry.
Well, this is not earth-shattering. It's just a little awkward, that's all. I mean, it's like when your big boss, when the publisher sort of says something political. I mean,
I agree
people
with you.
take notice.
A little bit awkward. A couple of points I want to make. Dante Ramos, who obviously is a friend of Beat the Press and appears on this show, he went on after having in to gently push back at John Henry and say, I think the two-party system is pretty deeply entrenched in American politics. So he pushed back at the publisher. Second point I want to note is that Twitter is this weird space where a lot of journalists, myself included, deal in a little more opinion and a little more snark than we might in other settings. All that being said, I think if you're a Globe journalist, you want your work to have maximum impact, whether you're on the news side or the editorial side. Hypothetically, if the Globe, Mike Bloomberg hops in the race, Michael Bloomberg hops in the race, and the Globe praises him to the skies on the ed page, people are going to say, well, sure. I mean, this is a pro-Bloomberg paper. And on the news side, I agree with Brian McGrory. They have great reporters, Matt Visor, Annie Linsky, Jim O'Sullivan. If one of them unearths some terrific scoop that, say, Bloomberg's in the race and it hurts Hillary Clinton or hurts Donald Trump, you're going to have people on the outside, including other campaigns and some readers saying, well, sure, they're trying to prop up Bloomberg. I don't think that is what will be happening, but there's a perception issue, potentially.
I think it's worth noting that in that tweet, this one tossed-off tweet, he did not endorse Bloomberg. He did not get behind Bloomberg. He said Bloomberg should run. Yeah. And that, frankly, fits into a very long-standing school of criticism that is sort of in the establishment media voice that, gosh, our system is broken. We need someone to come in and rescue it. That is something that has been iterated over and over again in elections. I don't think it's going to impact the Globe reporters one bit. I think it's a tweet from the owner. I don't think that's going to be communicated down the line. And I'm sure that if for some reason there were a memo from John Henry that was going to go down and say, gosh darn it, we're going to take down everybody else.
I'm sure there was some
then we would hear about it. It's not going to happen.
I'm sure there was some groaning in the news.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's like,
Well, we're moving from an age of newspapers being owned by faceless corporations to an age of personal ownership. And people like John Henry and Jeff Bezos and even some of the old lions like Rupert Murdoch have personalities and views outside of the papers that they operate. And I see this totally in that context. I find it very difficult to see this as a big deal. John Henry's just expressing his opinion about something. It doesn't strike me that it would have any effect on the newsroom whatsoever. Now, it does make you wonder if, down the line, if Michael Bloomberg really does run, would John Henry, as somebody who does have a say over the editorial page, might we be seeing a Bloomberg endorsement? I mean, I'm sure that the editorial board would also have a very strong say in that, but when it comes to the editorial pages, John Henry does have the last word.
And not to belabor it, but let's say that you're Hillary Clinton coming in for an ed board meeting. Do you think the Hillary Clinton campaign is going to bring up his advocacy for Mike Bloomberg? I would say so.
Possibly.
Well, of course, everybody's going to say. Let me just say this. It depends on what the general atmosphere is to me. I don't think it's a big deal either, but this is what we know and have in front of us. Are there cocktail parties where John's saying, what about that Bloomberg? He looks good. I mean, if you're a reporter working for that, you get a sense, okay, so my boss likes Bloomberg. Does that mean I self-censor? I don't know. I think these are very, very good reporters. There's no question about that. This is no besmirching of them. But, you know, they got to eat too. So, I mean, if it's a choice whether you got to push something ugly about Michael Bloomberg or maybe not, I don't know.
I put this up to what I think is the natural tendency among billionaires to think that other billionaires have the solutions to all of the country's problems. I mean, I think it's actually similar to Jeff Bezos. You know, he doesn't tweet very much, but he tweeted not particularly jokingly, like, you know, with his space efforts, I'd be happy to give Donald Trump a ticket to space.
Right,
you know,
that's
right?
true.
You know,
Yeah,
he owns the Washington
good.
Post. You know, I just think I doubt this will have one iota of impact on the Globe's
I
coverage.
agree. And, you know,
But I think, and by the way, if it does influence, if John Henry does have the last word on the editorial board, well,
Yeah.
he gets to have that.
Right.
You know, okay.
my theory is that
you know.
John Henry figured out that Michael Bloomberg is from Medford and said, this guy's got to run.
Last word, Adam?
No, I'll come back to what you said at the beginning. Not a huge thing, more of an eyebrow-raising thing. And as you said, my hunch is that there were a few people who, when they saw this, thought, oh, man,
Yeah.
that's all.